Jnanakosha Vedas Atharvana Veda by pact.
ओम गणानान्त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवज्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणान् ब्रह्मणस्पतकान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः
Atharvana based Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad. The Mundaka Upanishad is an ancient Sanskrit Vedic text embedded inside Atharva Veda. It is a Mukhya Upanishad and is listed as the number 5 in the Muktika canon of 108 Upanishads of Hinduism. It is among the most widely translated Upanishads. It is a poetic verse-styled Upanishad with 64 verses written in the form of mantras. However, these mantras are not used in rituals, rather they are used for teaching and meditation on spiritual knowledge. The Mundaka Upanishad contains 3 Mundakams, each with 2 sections. The first Mundakam defines the signs of higher knowledge and lower knowledge, and then asserts that acts of oblations and pious gifts are foolish and do nothing to reduce unhappiness in current life or next. Rather, it is knowledge that frees. The second Mundakam describes the nature of the Brahman, the self, the relation between the empirical world and the Brahman, and the path to know Brahma. The third Mundakam expands the ideas in the second Mundakam and then asserts that the state of knowing Brahman is one of freedom, fearlessness, complete liberation, self-sufficiency and bliss. The Mundaka Upanishad opens with declaring Brahma as the first of gods, the creator of the universe and the knowledge of Brahma, ultimate reality, eternal principle, cosmic soul, to be the foundation of all knowledge. The text then lists a succession of teachers who shared the knowledge of Brahman with the next generation. It suggests that this announces the Vedic tradition of teacher-student responsibility to transfer knowledge across the generations in unbroken succession. Further, it states that the names recited are metaphors, such as the one who illuminates, keeper of truth, planetary spirit, mythological messenger between gods and men, among others, suggesting the divine nature and the responsibility of man to continue the tradition of knowledge sharing across human generations. O gods, may we hear auspicious words with the ears. While engaged in sacrifices, may we see auspicious things with the eyes. While praising the gods with steady limbs, may we enjoy a life that is beneficial to the gods. May Indra of ancient fame be auspicious to us. May the supremely rich or all-knowing Pusa, god of the earth, be propitious to us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, be well disposed towards us. May Brihaspati ensure our welfare. Om peace, peace, peace. Chapter 1. Om Brahma, the creator of the universe and the protector of the world, was the first among the gods to manifest himself. To his eldest son, Atharva, he imparted that knowledge of Brahman that is the basis of all knowledge. The knowledge of Brahman that Brahma imparted to Atharva, Atharva transmitted to Angira in days of yore. He, Angir, passed it on to Satyavaha of the line of Bharadwaja. He of the line of Bharadwaja handed down to Angiras this knowledge that had been received in succession from the higher by the lower ones. Saunaka, well known as a great householder, having approached Angiras duly, asked, O adorable sir, which is that thing which having been known, all this becomes known? To him he said, there are 2 kinds of knowledge to be acquired, the higher and the lower. This is what a tradition runs the knower of the import of the Vedas say. Of these, the lower comprises the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, Atharvan Veda, the science of pronunciation, etc., the code of rituals, grammar, etymology, meter, and astrology. Then there is the higher knowledge by which is attained that imperishable. By the higher knowledge, the wise realize everywhere that which cannot be perceived and grasped, which is without source, features eyes and ears, which has neither hands nor feet, which is eternal, multiformed, all pervasive, extremely subtle and undiminishing, and which is the source of all. As a spider spreads out and withdraws its thread, as on the earth grow the herbs, and as from a living man issues out hair on the head and body, so out of the imperishable does the universe emerge here in this phenomenal creation. Through knowledge, Brahman increases in size. From that is born food, the unmanifested. From food evolves prana, Hiranyagarbha, thence the cosmic mind, thence the five elements, thence the worlds, thence the immortality, that is karmas. From him who is omniscient in general and all knowing in detail, and whose austerity is constituted by knowledge, evolve this derivative Brahman, name, color, and food. That thing that is such is true. The karmas that the wise discovered in the mantras are accomplished variously in the context of the sacrifice, where the three Vedic duties get united. You perform them forever with desire for the true results. This is your path leading to the fruits of karma acquired by yourselves. Then the fire being set ablaze, the flame shoots up. One should offer the oblation into that part that is between the right and the left. The Agnihotra destroys the seven worlds of that man whose Agnihotra sacrifice is without darsa and pauranamasa rites, devoid of chaturmasya, bereft of agaranya, unblessed with guests, goes unperformed, is unaccompanied by Swadeva, and is performed perfectionally. Kali, Karali, Manojava, and Sulohita, and that which is Sudhu Ravarna, as also Spulangini and the shining Vishwavaruchi. These are the seven flaming tongues. These oblations turn into the rays of the sun, and taking him up, they lead him who performs the rites in these shining flames at the proper time to where the single Lord of the gods presides over all, saying, "Come, come," uttering pleasing words such as, "This is your well-earned, virtuous path which leads to heaven," and offering him adoration, then scintillating oblations carry the sacrificer along the rays of the sun. Since these 18 constituents of a sacrifice, on whom the inferior karma has been set to rest, are perishable because of their fragility, therefore those ignorant people who get elated with the idea this is the cause of bliss undergo old age and death over again, remaining within the fold of ignorance and thinking, "We are ourselves wise and learned," the fools, while being buffeted very much, ramble about like the blind led by the blind alone. Continuing diversely in the midst of ignorance, the unenlightened take airs by thinking, "We have attained the goal," since the men engaged in karma do not understand the truth under the influence of attachment. Thereby they become afflicted with sorrow and are deprived of heaven on the exhaustion of the results of karma. The deluded fools, believing the rites inculcated by the Vedas and the Smritis to be the highest, do not understand the other thing that leads to liberation. They, having enjoyed the fruits of action in the abode of pleasure on the heights of heaven, enter this world or an inferior one. Those who live in the forest while begging for alms, those forest dwellers and hermits who resort to the duties of their respective stages of life as well as to meditation and learned householders who have their senses under control after becoming freed from dirt go by the path of the sun to where lives that Purusha, immortal and undecaying by nature. A Brahmana should resort to renunciation after examining the worlds acquired through karma. With the help of this maximum, there is nothing that is not the result of karma. So, what is the need of performing karma? For knowing that reality, he should go with sacrificial fagots in hand, only to a teacher versed in the Vedas and absorbed in Brahman. To him who has approached duly, whose heart is calm and whose outer organs are under control, that man of enlightenment should adequately impart that knowledge of Brahman by which one realizes the true and imperishable Purusha. Chapter 2. That thing that is such is true, as from a fire fully ablaze fly off sparks in their thousands that are akin to the fire. Similarly, O good looking one, from the imperishable originate different kinds of creatures, and into it again they merge. The Purusha is transcendental, since he is formless, and since he is coextensive with all that is external and internal, and since he is birthless, therefore he is without vital force and without mind. He is pure and superior to the other superior imperishable Maya. From him originates the vital force as well as the mind, all the senses, space, air, fire, water, and earth that supports everything. The indwelling self of all is surely he of whom the heaven is the head, the moon and sun are the two eyes, the directions are the two ears, the revealed Vedas are the speech, air is the vital force, the whole universe is the heart, and it is he from whose 2 feet emerged the earth. From him emerges the fire, of which the fuel is the sun. From the moon emerges cloud, and from the herbs and corns on the earth. A man sheds the semen into a woman. From the Purusha have originated many creatures. From him emerge the Rik, Sama and Yajur mantras, initiation, all the sacrifices, whether with or without the sacrificial stick, offerings to Brahmanas, the ear, the sacrificer, and the worlds where the moon sacrifices and where the sun shines. And from him duly emerged the gods in various groups, the sadhyas, human beings, beasts, birds, life, rice and barley, as well as austerity, faith, truth, continence and dutifulness. From him emerged the 7 sense organs, the 7 flames, the 7 kinds of fuel, the 7 oblations, and these 7 seats where move the sense organs that sleep in the cavity and have been deposited by God in groups of 7. From him emerge all the oceans and all the mountains. From him flow out the rivers of various forms. And from him issue all the corns as well as the juice, by virtue of which the internal self verily exists in the minds of the elements. The Purusha alone is all this, comprising karma and knowledge. He who knows this supreme immortal Brahman existing in the heart destroys here the knot of ignorance, O good-looking one. It is effulgent, near at hand, and well known as moving in the heart, and it is the good great goal. On it are fixed all these that move, breathe, and wink or do not wink. Know this one which comprises the gross and the subtle, which is beyond the ordinary knowledge of creatures, and which is the most desirable and the highest of all. That which is bright and is subtler than the subtle, and that on which are fixed all the world, as well as the dweller of the worlds, is this immutable Brahman. It is this vital force. It again is speech and mind. This entity that is such is true. It is immortal. It is to be penetrated. O good good-looking one, shoot at it. Taking hold of the bow, the great weapon familiar in the Upanishads, one should fix it on it an arrow sharpened with meditation. Drawing the string, O good-looking one, hit that very target that is the imperishable, with the mind absorbed in its thought. Om is the bow, the soul is the arrow, and Brahman is called its target. It is to be hit by an unerring man, one should become one with it just like an arrow. Know that self alone, that is one without a second, on which are strung heaven, the earth and the interspace, the mind and the vital forces, together with all the other organs, and give up all other stocks. This is the bridge leading to immortality. Within that heart in which are fixed the nerves like the spokes on the hub of a chariot wheel, moves this aforesaid self by becoming multiformed. Meditate on the self thus with the help of Om. May you be free from hindrances in going to the other shore beyond darkness. That self which is omniscient in general and all-knowing in detail, and which has such glory in this world, that self which is of this kind is seated in the space within the luminous city of Brahman. It is conditioned by the mind. It is the carrier of the vital forces and the body. It is seated in food by placing the intellect in the cavity of the heart. Through their knowledge, the discriminating people realize that self as existing in its fullness everywhere, the self that shines surpassingly as blissfulness and immortality. When that self, which is both the high and the low, is realized, the knot of the heart gets united, all doubts become solved, and all one's actions become dissipated. In the supreme bright sheath is Brahman, free from taints and without parts. It is pure and is the light of lights. It is that which the knowers of the self realize. There the sun does not shine, nor the moon or the stars, nor do these flashes of lightning shine there. How can this fire do so? Everything shines according as he does so. By his light of all this shines diversely. All this that is in front is but Brahman, the immortal. Brahman is at the back as also on the right and the left. It is extended above and below too. This world is nothing but Brahman, the highest. Chapter 3. Two birds that are ever associated and have similar name cling to the same tree. Of these one eats the fruit of divergent taste, and the other looks on without eating. On the same tree the individual soul remains drowned, stuck as it were, and so it moans, being worried by its impotence. When it sees thus the other, the adored Lord and his glory, then it becomes liberated from sorrow. When the seer sees the Purusha, the golden-hued created Lord and the source of the inferior Brahman, then the illumined one completely shakes off both merit and demerit, becomes taintless, and attains absolute equality. This one is verily the vital force which shines divergently through all beings. Knowing this, the illumined man has no occasion to go beyond anything in his talk. He disports in the self, delights in the self, and is engrossed in spiritual effort. This one is the chief among the knowers of Brahman. The bright and pure self within the body, that the monks with habitual effort and attenuated blemishes see, is attainable verily through truth, concentration, complete knowledge, and continence, practiced constantly. Truth alone wins, and not untruth. By truth is laid the path called Devayana, by which the desireless seeds ascend to where exists the supreme treasure, attainable through truth. It is great and self-effulgent, and its form is unthinkable. It is subtler than the subtle. It shines diversely. It is farther away than the far off, and it is near at hand in this body. Among sentient beings, it is perceived as seated in this very body in the cavity of the heart. It is not comprehended through the eye, nor through speech, nor through the other senses, nor is it attained through austerity or karma. Since one becomes purified in mind through the favorableness of the intellect, therefore can one see that indivisible self through meditation. Within the heart, in the body, where the vital force has entered in five forms, is this subtle self to be realized through that intelligence by which is pervaded the entire mind as well as the mental and sensory organs of all creatures. And it is to be known in the mind which, having become purified, this self reversals itself distinctly. The man of pure mind wins those worlds which he mentally wishes for and those enjoyable things which he covets. Therefore, one desirous of prosperity should adore the knower of the self. He knows this supreme abode, this Brahman in which is placed the universe and which shines holy. Those wise ones indeed, who having become desireless, worship this person, transcendent this human seed. He who covets the desirable things while brooding on the virtues is born amidst those very surroundings along with the desires. But for one who has got his wishes fulfilled and who is self-poised, all the longings vanish even here. This self is not attained through study, nor through the intellect, nor through much learning. The very self which this one seeks is attainable through that fact of seeking. This self of this his reveals its own nature. This self is not attained by one devoid of strength, nor through delusion, nor through knowledge unassociated with monasticism, but the self of that knower who strives through these means enters into the abode that is Brahman. Having attained this, the seeds become contented with their knowledge, established in the self, freed from attachment and composed. Having realized the all-pervasive one everywhere, these discriminating people, ever merged in contemplation, enter into the all. Those to whom the entity presented by the Vedantic knowledge has become fully ascertained, who are assiduous and have become pure in mind through the yoga of monasticism, all of them, at the supreme moment of final departure, become identified with the supreme immortality in the worlds that are Brahman, and they become freed on every side. To their sources repair the 15 constituents of the body, and to their respective gods go all the gods of the senses. The karmas and the soul, appearing like the intellect, all become unified with the supreme undecaying. As rivers flowing down become indistinguishable on reaching the sea by giving up their names and forms, so also the illumined soul, having become freed from name and form, reaches the self-effulgent Purusha that is higher than the higher. Anyone who knows that supreme Brahman becomes Brahman indeed. In his line is not born anyone who does not know Brahman. He overcomes grief and rises above aberrations, and becoming freed from the knots of the heart, he attains immortality. This rule has been revealed by the mantra, which runs thus: to them alone should one expound this knowledge of who are engaged in the practice of discipline, versed in the Vedas, and indeed devoted to Brahma, who personally sacrifice to the fire called Ekrasi with faith, and by whom has been duly accomplished the vow of holding fire on the head. The seer Angiras spoke of this truth in the days of yore, One that has not fulfilled the oath does not read this. Salutation to the great seers. Salutation to the great seers. O gods, may we hear auspicious words with the ears while engaged in sacrifices. May we see auspicious things with the eyes while praising the gods with steady limbs. May we enjoy a life that is beneficial to the gods. May Indra of ancient fame be auspicious to us. May the supremely rich Pusa, god of the earth, be propitious to us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, be well disposed towards us. May Brihaspati ensure our welfare. Om, peace, peace, peace. Here ends the Mundaka Upanishad included in the Atharva Veda.